Hey guys, Chris from the Ultimate Recycler. This video is just to document a little bit about what's going on here at where I live at Nagambie in central Victoria. We've had some pretty severe floods as a lot of Australia has. It's a land of droughts and flooding rains. Well, we've had the flooding rains. What you're looking at behind me is water over the road. In fact, it's completely submerged. And this is the driveway into the local Discovery Parks. It's a big caravan park. It's one of the main tourist destinations for Nagambie. It's just out the road. It's actually on the other side of the lake to what the main town is. And my daughters started a cafe here about a month back. They took over the running of the cafe right on the banks of the river. I'll throw a few photos in now. Really nice spot. And yes, it's not far from the water, but the river here is normally pretty well regulated by the weirs. Water from the Goulburn River comes out of the Eildon Weir, which is a great big water reservoir just above Melbourne, or to the east of Melbourne a bit. And then the Goulburn River flows down, and we have a weir just about 10 kilometres out the road that regulates the flow a lot as well. However, when the whole state gets in excess of 100 millimetres very quickly on top of already full reservoirs, and all the rivers and creeks were pretty well running anyway, you have major floods. Now, Seymour is a town just south of here that has been largely evacuated. They've had a lot of trouble. Some friends of ours have had water through houses and their business. We're pretty lucky here in that Nagambie, the township, is very high, but unfortunately the caravan park is totally underwater. It has been for about 3 days. So Jess has got some friends with a boat, and they've actually just gone out to see if they can salvage some stuff out of the cafe. There was a lot of frozen food there and a lot of other stuff. We're hoping the water hasn't got too high, but we believe it has gone through the cafe. So we'll try and get some footage. I think the guy in the boat's going to take me out for a bit of a drive. In the meantime, I'm just waiting here until they come back, and hopefully they've been able to salvage some stuff. So, not really a video about recycling. Unfortunately, the floods will result in a lot of wastage, which does annoy me a bit. We might go for a bit of a walk along the lake's edge shortly before we finish this video up. But in the meantime, I'll just wait here and see what they can salvage. So I'm standing here actually at the entrance to the park, the main driveway. And the water level was up to, you can see the line of leaves on the road there just next to the van. That's where the water was yesterday. That was about its peak, so it has dropped down a fair bit, but we still think that there's a lot of water through the cafe, and all the cabins and caravans were submerged, or at least mostly. There's been a lot of debris floating in the lake, and a lot of it would have gone down the river. We see gas bottles and fridges and eskies, and anything that floats is washing up all over the place, and some of it may indeed be from Seymour, which is 20 minutes drive from here upstream. And downstream of the Goulburn, well, Shepparton's the next biggest city. There's a small town called Murchison, and they're all being evacuated at the moment, and they're looking to have record floods which surpass the 1974 level. So it's fairly catastrophic. Let's hope we can save stuff from here, and let's hope too many people don't have to suffer. Unfortunately though, they're talking more rain later this week, so hopefully we don't get a second peak. Okay, I didn't get to go out to the cafe because we had to bring some food back. They did manage to save some food. So we're now on the town side of the lake, so you can see here's the main street. And it is a very picturesque place. The only trouble with living next to water is you can obviously get floods. So the caravan park is on the far side. I'll see if I can zoom across. In amongst those trees is the park, and it's still all totally underwater. They got to the cafe. Jess said that the water had gone down, but it had been 2 feet high through the cafe. Luckily it didn't get to the top of the counter, so things like the coffee machine and the till and everything are okay. She said even the tables in the dining area were still set, so the current hadn't washed through, the water had just raised up. So most of the stuff's going to be okay, although the building's going to need some serious work to clean up, and it's going to be covered in mud. Back to the lakeside here in the town, people have been pulling stuff out of the water that's obviously come from the caravan park. Anything that floats, there's lots of bins in the water. And around the other side I saw quite a lot of fridges and freezers, and that's something Jess said. They managed to save some food that was frozen, but there was only one freezer still upright and closed, so the food was still kind of frozen, but all the other freezers, and you don't think of fridges and freezers floating, but once the water gets up high, they float up, they tip over, the lid's open, the water gets in, everything thaws out very quickly. Just walking along the edge of the lake here, There is actually, believe it or not, below that water there was a boardwalk. It goes around the edge of the lake, and I'll put a picture up of what it looks like in normal times. I don't know, I think that might be a fridge out there next to the bin. I can just see the corner of something. So it's going to be a massive clean-up. The town's fortunate, as I said, but certainly the caravan park has suffered some major losses. So, alright, well, that'll do for now. I'm not sure what I'll do. I'll try and find just some footage of the weir. It's letting a lot of water through, and we'll just have a look at the river. Even though it has gone down a couple of feet, it's still massively high, and Shepparton, about 40 minutes drive north of here, are now actually bracing for major floods, and there's going to be a lot of properties inundated, which is, you know, pretty terrible for them. Okay, I've just stopped on the edge of the main bridge over the river just to give you a view of what it's like at the moment. And the road's actually closed, but there is a bit of traffic going back and forward. This is the main Goulburn River, and that's the old bridge, quite a historic bridge, and it's fairly dilapidated, so I'm surprised it hasn't been washed away. And just the other side of that bridge is the actual caravan park. And if we zoom down here, I think you can see in the distance there's a couple of green trees over there. That's right on the edge of the park. Just behind those trees is where the cafe is, and you can see there's still a lot of water going down this river very fast. So I was a little concerned with just going out in a boat with some friends to rescue the food, but travelling just down the old driveway was a lot safer than rowing out into the current of the main river. They'd be silly to go out into that. And it's spread right over the banks here. It's flooded a lot of farmland, but as I said earlier, Nagambie's a pretty lucky town. It's very high. It's only the surrounding areas that go under, but you've got to feel sorry for some of the other towns downstream that are built right on the river flats. You wonder about some councils actually allowing people to build where they do. I guess sometimes it's all about making a dollar with you know, rates and increasing your population without concern for this so-called once in 100-year flood that we seem to be getting much more often than once in 100 years. So anyway, that's the Goulburn River in its full glory. Not that everyone's really impressed by it. Okay guys, we'll finish this video up. I'm outside the front of the shop, as you can see in the distance. It's middle of Sunday afternoon, the weather's quite nice, there should be tourists everywhere, and the street is, well, it's a little bit like a ghost town. There's a few cars around, but nothing like we normally have. Obviously there's a bit of an impact because there's road closures. People can't get out of Shepparton, which is north of here. Melbourne people can get up here, but they've been advised not to travel. So we've opened today, but there hasn't been much business at all. So I'm going to close up. As soon as we can get out to help clean the cafe out, that's what we'll be doing. So I hope you enjoyed that catch up, just what's going on in my life at the moment. And, you know, we've been pretty lucky, really, considering what it could have been. And certainly I feel for the people in the other towns, so good luck to all of those, especially if you're watching. And also up in the northern parts of Australia along the east coast, they are talking more rain this week, and I believe the longer term forecast is for regular rain events for the rest of the year. So it's certainly a bit of a worry. We have the Indian Ocean negative dipole, I think it is, and the La Nina effect, both of which give Australia a lot wetter conditions. So here's hoping we can get through it all right. You guys take care. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.